Greif Bräu Zwickl.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. What a shit evening this has been. I've had Calvor's dry hopped lager, which was dry hopped with American hops, and it just didn't taste like a lager to me at all. Ranted and raved over that. Decided to console myself with a bottle of the York Brewery Minster, which said on the front it was a New World bitter, so I've psyched myself up for a bitter with some New World hops in. On the side of the bottle it said it was a golden ale. It tasted fucking terrible. It tasted something like, if you can imagine the best of Marston's, and that's not saying much, that's what it tasted like, and I was really disappointed in it, and I didn't give it a high mark, and I thought, fuck it, I'm not going to waste this evening drinking shitty beer. So I was going to have, I've got a bottle of Le Trappe, the Vit beer that they do. I'm surprised I haven't tried that before, because I do like a Vit beer, but that's in the fridge now. And I forgot I had this stuff. This is the Greif Bräu Zwickl. And I thought, oh, do you know what, sod it, I'm going to have this instead. Now, Zwickl beer, what is it? Well, if you've had Kellerbier, you've more or less had Zwickl beer. The two are very, very closely related. Zwickl beer, or Kellerbier, let's get Kellerbier out of the way first. If you don't know and you've not watched some of my videos, I've explained this before, but Kellerbier is unfiltered, unpasteurised, usually unpasteurised lager, and that's how lager was served up years ago over in Germany. They didn't filter it, they just put it straight into the lagering vessel, whether it be a cask or some kind of stone square, and they would serve it straight from there. Sometimes it would come Kellerbier, as the name suggests. Keller in German means cellar, so it would be put down into the cellar. It may have even lagered in the cellar, and you would just be getting it straight from there. Zwickl beer is slightly younger Kellerbier. It's the stuff that you would get the master brewer going round, and he would drain a little bit off just to test it to see how it is. It's usually fresher. Well, it would be fresher because it hasn't lagered as long as Kellerbier. But Zwickl means tap or barrel tap, or so. If you look up on Google Translate, it translates to gusset cock. Now, I am not going to fucking use that word, but that's what it is. You can see it on the side of the bottle. That is the tap sticking out of the side of a barrel. That's what it is, basically. And that's where Zwickl beer and Kellerbier are very, very closely linked, because obviously if you're trying the stuff out of the barrel, it's not going to be filtered, it's not going to be pasteurised. It's like a younger Kellerbier, if you really want to be strict about it. And I quite like Zwickl beer. It's not as, usually the ABV isn't as strong, although that could be different. Well, this is 5%, so that's about right for a Kellerbier. Now, Kellerbier has a little sourness to it, I find, and I'm assuming that's coming from the yeast. It's very subtle, and if you're really not tuning your palate in, you probably wouldn't notice it, but I do get a very slight sourness from Zwickl beer, probably due to all the suspended yeast that's in there as well, and I quite like that. It's really nice. One of the best Kellerbiers, I think, is the Hacker-Pschorr Kellerbier. That is fantastic, and I don't think I've tasted a better Kellerbier, even though there are some worthy contenders. I think the Hacker-Pschorr stuff, as you would expect from a brewery of that calibre. I mean, Hacker-Pschorr are one of the best breweries in Germany, in my opinion, and they do the best Kellerbier, in my opinion. Zwickl beer, not really had much of the Zwickl beer, but I have had some, and I'm trying to. Is it the Dortmund? Is it the No, it's the Actien Brewery. I was going to say Dortmund at Actien Brewery. It's not. It's the Actien Brewery from Bavaria. I've had some of their Zwickl beer, and that was nice as well. I don't know what this is going to be like. This Greif Bräu. They're quite a good brewery. They've been going since the 1800s. I've tried a few of their beers. I've got two of them up there. I've got the land beer, which is the Schlurbeler, I think that's how it's pronounced, and I've got their Greif Bräu Bock beer, the Greif Bock. Both quite nice beers. Really impressed with them. Well, when I say really impressed, that's a lie. I'm not really impressed. They're solid beers, if you know what I mean. They're not outstanding, but you can tell they're just good quality beers. And I'm going to assume that's what this is going to be like. But believe me, it's going to be nicer than the fucking shit I've just had. The Calvo stuff. Didn't really get on with that. I would have liked it if it had been a different description of the beer. But the York Brewery stuff is really poor. Really not impressed with that. So there you go. Hopefully this is going to wash all that bad flavour out of my palate. So let's shut up and let's investigate this beer. Right, Greif Bräu Zwickl is a 500ml bottle. It's 5%. Just looking at the date on this, it's I'm assuming that's when it's been brewed. It's 2021, the 9th. I don't know, is it the 8th, 2021? That could be the sell-by date. They've sort of only put half the date on the label, and it looks like an 8. Who knows? It's going to be a cloudy beer, Kellerbier, that conforms to the Reinheitsgebot, which this does. Greif Bräu are from a place called Forchheim, which is in Bavaria. Usually Bavarian beer is a little cut above everything else. So let's see if it lives up to its name. Right, one thing I do like about this brewery, that lid was on quite tightly. Whoever's in the bottling plant knows how to put a lid on. I do like the graphics on this, from this brewery. That's Griffin. Greif in German means Griffin, and that is the logo of this brewery. They do some nice t-shirts, and I'm toying with the idea of buying one of their t-shirts. I've seen one that I really like. I've already bought one as well. It's just the logo, big Griffin and Greif Bräu on it. I wore it once to a party, and everyone kept asking me what it meant. They thought it was a band. I had to tell them it was actually a brewery. Oh, how they cried. Now, this is looking like a Zwickl beer. Nice and cloudy. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I'm getting the sourness on this as well. Hence why I was saying it's quite a similar style to the Kellerbier. There it is, all in ye olde glass. I must say, I really do like the artwork that they put on their labels. They don't do a back label, it's just one label at the front, but the quality is really good. Whoever's their graphic designer is doing a great job. It looks traditional, nice Teutonic fonts being used there. Nice trademark, so yeah, well done. Hats off to Greif Bräu for that one. That's what it looks like. It looks like a very cloudy lager on the nose. Malty and sour, that's the aroma. Subtle sourness, but lots of malt. Quite nice. Let's get it down the hatch. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. Wow. Now, I don't know whether this is because I've just had that horrible bitter golden ale, but that tasted really sweet. Sweet, earthy and malty. They were the three flavours that I got from that first mouthful. Let me try again. No, there is a sweetness to it. No sourness at all, which is really confusing because I was getting a slight sourness on the aroma. But this is really nice. It's really full-bodied and it's full of flavour. It really does taste good. Got a sweet bready malt, slight sulphurous flavour, which you normally get from Bavarian beers, and it just complements the the overall flavour. But there is a sweetness to it, and that complements the malt. And that first mouthful was quite sweet, almost honey-like. Carbonation is good, and there's some subtle hop overtones on that as well, like herbal notes on it. But this is dominated by the malt and that sweetness, which I think is coming from the yeast. Oh, it does taste good. In fact, I think that's possibly the best beer I've had from Greif Bräu so far. I'm really liking this. It's that honey sweetness, the liquid bread, doughy type malt that you get from most Bavarian beers. Carbonation is a little strong, I will say that, but there's subtle herbal notes which just round this off really nicely. I am liking this. And as cloudy and full-bodied as this looks, it's really nice going down, very refreshing. This is cold, it's coming out of the fridge, but I'm still getting all the flavours from it, and I'm really liking it. I know it's good. Thankfully, mercifully, that is good, because that last York Minster beer was really not good at all. Luckily, you can rely on Bavaria for some decent beer. So what is the verdict on Greif Bräu Zwickl beer? It's really nice. It's a good example of Zwickl beer. It does exactly what a Zwickl beer should do. It's not as good as the Kellerbier, and I am going to compare the two styles because they are very closely linked. I don't think it's as good as the Hacker-Pschorr. Well, I know it's not as good as the Hacker-Pschorr, but it is pleasantly, surprisingly nice. I think that's probably the best one I've had from Greif Bräu. There's a lovely sweet honey note to that, which you don't normally find in Kellerbiers. Haven't had too many Zwickl beers where you get that sweetness, but it's a nice surprise. Now, I don't know whether that's been accentuated because I had that really horrible bitter golden ale from the York Minster Brewery, but on its own merits that just tasted really nice, and it is going down very nicely indeed. And I'm just looking at this now, they've actually called this Naturtrüb Kellerbier. You can see that. This is how closely the two styles are linked. So I am going to compare this with Kellerbier, the Kellerbiers that I've tried. And don't get me wrong, there are some great Kellerbiers out there. The Inga Kellerbier, very nice indeed. Paulaner do a Kellerbier, which is really nice. Who else? Well, all the top 6 do a Kellerbier. Hofbrau do a Kellerbier, which is quite nice again. But for me, Hacker-Shaw is top of the shop, and I'm liking this. So I'm going to give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. The only reason I'm not going to give it higher is because there is better Kellerbier out there, and this doesn't quite measure up to that. But again, all bets are off when it comes to Bavaria. The standard of beer there is fantastic, and this is no exception. I would love to try this over in Bavaria on draft. Go over to Folkheim and try some of this on draft. I bet it is absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm trying all these Bavarian beers in bottles over here in the United Kingdom. It will happen one day when this COVID bullshit is all over and you haven't got to go through all the nonsense that you have to go through in the airport. I've actually got a mate who knows a tattoo artist over in Bavaria, and he's given us an open invitation to go over there, which we will take up at one point. It's just trying to sort all the, the flights and time off work, etc. But it will happen, and I will make it my mission to try some of the Greif Bräu stuff if I can get hold of it, because I would love to try it. Well, all these Bavarian beers, I would love to try it on try them on draft, because I imagine they are absolutely amazing. But this is a real good one. That's 8.5 out of 10. It's definitely recommended. Got it from the House of Trembling Madness. I will tell you exactly how much that cost. It was Greif Bräu Zwickl beer, £2.60. Fucking hell, you cannot go wrong with it. That is superb. 8.5 out of 10, recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.